Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. You can get your carpool schedules into the cloud and share with various families so that everybody's on time. These are things you could do with Copiers Plus if you want to.
Or you can be in Durham grinding it out.
Could do that.
Then wake up the next day and make sure you're on time.
This is true. The content does not sleep, ladies and gentlemen. So we are back. And let's do a little bit of a redux from yesterday's game at Cameron Indoor Stadium between NC State and Duke. We had the OG After Dark last night. That's for the raw, immediate reaction. Today is for the, you got like 5 hours of sleep over it. And maybe you can put some more coherent thoughts together. I think the way I want to approach talking about last night is to utilize 3 calls from the OG Sports phone that kind of highlights the 3 different angles to look at. You have the State, you have the Duke, and of course you have the Carolina angle because they play on Saturday. So let's hit that OG Sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
I thought this one was pretty hilarious because somebody had called in before the game with a prediction. This is how it went.
Hey guys, preemptively calling before the State and Duke game tonight. The thought that I have today, and I'm not confident enough to put money on it because you don't bet on State except for last year during the run. But this is a game where State figures everything out. They play somewhat to the level that I think we were hoping they would this year. They find a way to beat Duke and Cameron. And then in the back of all of our heads, while yes, I will never, ever be upset with a win, but the level of frustration after a potential win, is it greater than the impending loss? And I know that sounds ridiculous, right? But this just feels like the game that with the spread, with just how poorly State's playing, it just feels like absolutely everything is going not the way that we want it to. That this is a game where we right the ship for the night, and while I enjoy a potential win, I'm also extremely frustrated. But
so again, that was a call that we got before the Duke NC State game at Cameron Indoor Stadium. And it was very, very close to being accurate. I think I had texted you, Luke DeCock, and Aaron Beard when State was up double digits. And I just went, Law of the Wolf. I put that out on social media, of course, after I had posted, quote, Law of the Wolf. You never know. This was, I forgot exactly what time it was. That's right. 9:03 p.m. is when I put that out on social media. Of course, Duke defensively hammers down and gets NC State flustered, and they crawl back into that game, right? Patrick on Blue Sky pointing out, is this you after making that post? After that, making that post? Looking all amused with myself, like, aha, here he is. I jinxed it, right? No, but I think to the caller's point, given how everybody's been talking about NC State, and given how people,
they're a bad team,
that they would go out there and put together a game that would be intriguing and yet frustrating at the same time. So I think the caller was right. I think a lot of NC State fans were right. Yeah, they're going to put it together, and you're going to wonder where the hell this was all year long.
I recognize the NC State team that played last night. That looked like the team from last March. The way that they played defensively, the way that they were kind of, that was their first why not us game of the season.
That's one way of putting
21-point underdog.
Yeah.
Nobody thought they were even going to be competitive. I did not think they would be competitive.
None of us did.
And they looked like a team that said, you know what, even though it's not all the same parts, obviously, they look like a team that said, you know, the last 2 times we saw you, we beat you.
Right.
So what are we doing? Like, why are you acting like you're so much better than me? Dontrez Styles had that look like, hey man, the last time I was here, we were raining on your parade the last time I was here. So I'm not quite sure why it took this long in the season. There were glimpses of it against Texas. There was some of it against Purdue in the one half that they were competitive against Purdue. But really last year there was a switch in that run where you're looking at it and going, there was nothing fluky about what NC State did during the run. And people get confused by that. The way that they talk about what happened last year. They simply outplayed those teams that they beat last year, other than O'Connell's shot. They simply outplayed those teams. And a lot of it, remember, was very old school in the sense that it was, hey, wait a second. We just played Duke a week ago. They murdered us on the offensive glass. If we fix some of those things, hey, wait a second. We just played Syracuse. We left their one shooter open. If we don't let that guy hit 9 threes on us, we could probably beat them. Yeah. It was a very old school ACC attitude about the way that they played at the end of last year. I finally saw that look, that Jim Phillips, John Swafford look in their eyes last night. That you can trust somebody by that look in their eyes. The juices
looked at them in the eye sockets.
I look at them in the orbital sockets. They finally had the juice. They finally had a little bit of that. Why not us?
Yeah.
And I'm cleaning up my language for our viewers today, because that's what I felt. That's what it felt like to me for State. That there was a big moment there for them in terms of, this is how we have to play defensively, which they did. First half of that basketball game against Dontrell Styles, the way that he played against Cooper Flagg. We haven't really seen that yet this year, have we?
Wake did a good job as well. Wake did a good job as well.
Okay. So,
but that's been consistent out of Wake Forest. We get caught up in Duke's defensive greatness so far this season, at least statistically, metrically. When you look at Ken Palm and everything else, I'm not trying to dismiss that they're not a great defensive team. They are.
Yeah.
They clearly are a great defensive team. But Wake also is a good defensive team. It's kind of like the odd inverse that we've seen out of a Steve Forbes team the last couple of years at Wake Forest. And Wake was the number 2 ACC defensive team going into that matchup. So I give a lot of credit to Wake consistently doing it. And to a certain extent, and I said this last night, State has at no point looked like a team that's just kind of checked out. They just can't consistently.
But there's a difference between. There's just
like the SMU game, right? We were talking about the SMU game. That was easy for them to just kind of like.
Sure, and they could have lost double digits
easily, right?
There's a difference between effort and being locked in, though. Like, and again, this goes back to what we all have experienced, right? The last year of the Gottman was a team that had checked out.
Yeah.
Okay, Sydney, the year with JJ Hickson, where they lost their last 8 games of the season, that was a checkout scenario.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Okay, we know what that looks like. There have been other years where quite frankly, you're just not very talented, and you can try all you want. I thought last night was a real difference for NC State in the sense, again, that there was confidence there. There was an attitude there. Mm-hmm. You can have effort without a confidence and an attitude.
That's fair.
And I think that's where you saw a difference for me. Trey Parker with a little bit of that swag. You had Styles, for whatever reason, wanting to be in that building and playing his best game of the season.
But let me ask you this. It's January 28th.
I'm not saying it shouldn't have been there sooner.
And
I'm
also,
just telling
to your
you,
point
this
about,
is the first time I've seen it all year.
To your point about last year's team, I mean, the core group of that team ain't there anymore. The key guys that helped make that go. I mean, obviously you have the Michael Connell shot and everything else.
Right.
But the key guys that made that go, including DJ Burns, are not there. So it's just one of those things where I think we can all agree that State should have a better year than they've had so far this season, right? Right?
I mean, they shot better in the first half of this basketball game. They made 7 3-pointers. In their home losses to Cal, SMU, and Carolina, they made a total of 8 combined.
So,
I mean,
they
kind of are who they are. I'll keep saying it. They're not bad.
Yeah.
But they're not good.
Right. And there's a lot of that in the ACC.
Yeah.
And I think the frustration level, getting back to the caller's point, is that if they make, in any of these other games, they make 2 more 3-pointers in each of those games.
1 or 2. Yeah.
What are we talking about? We're talking about things a little bit differently. I think that's where the frustration point boils over.
Make a few layups, go up for a dunk. There's a couple of those.
That's the other thing too. I mean, I know a lot of people in the comment section last night were talking about, all State did was shoot threes. I'm like, yeah, they did shoot a lot of threes, but there were a lot of missed bunnies too. Okay. I mean, it's not like they didn't go to the basket. They did go to the basket. They just couldn't, those weren't even going down either. And that's been consistent with NC State going forward. So we'll see. This is one of those things where they regress back to what they've been. And they can't make shots anymore, and the season just kind of slogs along, and it is what it is. Or maybe this is kind of a Kevin Keats goes back to the team and says, guys, look, that first half, this is not hard. If this is not hard, and you're going to see teams that are not Duke that if you do that, you're going to put them away. They're not going to fight back like Duke has, which is a consistency at Duke, which gets us to Duke. This is from Ben, our guy over at Bull City Coordinators, as we switch over to the Duke side of things.
Last year, Duke doesn't win those games. They just don't do it. Filipowski and those guys don't get the win, but this team has done it. And 2 games in a row, that's the positive. And you've seen situations where the team still looks a little off offensively, but defensively, they just find a way to do it. Short turnaround, just like in the tournament, you get a win. That's what you need to have happen. Those are the positive things. And I think that's got to be kept in mind. But the negatives are concerning, and you guys mentioned it on last night after dark. Looking primarily at Tyrese Proctor, I'm pulling up his stats here right now. Over the last 2 games, he's shooting a cool 16.7% from the field. He's missing layups. He's missing bunnies. He's missing easy putbacks. He is 1 of 9 from 3 and a cool 3 of 6 from the foul line. You know, consistency is not always what it is thought to be. Proctor's just not been playing well of late, and he's a better player than that. And if Duke wants to go on a run and take this team as far as it can go defensively, he's got to step up and he's got to play better. He's better than this, and you've also seen it with Caleb Foster has not found a role this season. He's been kind of relegated. Slim, Isaiah Evans, we're not seeing much from him. You know, Malik Brown's still out. There's a lot that this team needs to work on and do better, but I'm going to try to stay positive about this instead of dropping a bunch of F-bombs and cursing you guys out for your takes, which I think are accurate, but there are some warning signs for this team. But on the whole, even though this unit's not playing well, even though this team's not playing well, they're still finding ways to get wins, and they're on a really long win streak, which is hard to do.
So I wanted to...
You missed this.
What's that?
I think you missed this.
What's this?
The mascot, the Blue Devil,
had
the headband at the beginning of the game
that
said UNC warm-up. I would bet dollars to donuts he was asked to change his headband at the half by someone
probably
at Duke, because then the second half, his headband said, pack up. He changed his headband.
I think they changed the headband. I have to double check on that one.
I think he was told, sir.
I'm going to double check
I
on
will
that
bet.
one.
I am willing to bet he was told.
That's fair.
The UNC game is Saturday. We're kind of in one right now. So I didn't point that out last night. I wanted to make that point. Now, giving where we want to give Duke credit about the short turnaround, yes. Where you want to give Duke credit, this isn't something that they did in the personality of Cooper Flagg to score 23 points in the second half of this basketball game. Absolutely. Here's the part that you just have to try to get in your head as a Duke fan. And again, you don't like it when the message comes from me, but I'm gonna explain this to you, and I just need you to understand this. I want you to go back and find me an NCAA tournament game played on a neutral site where Duke takes 28 free throws and their opponent takes 7. I just want you to find that game for me, because Duke wins this game by 10 in spite of being outscored by 18 points from the 3-point line. Well, how does that happen? Well, they ended up scoring 18 points from the free throw line. So,
but Joe, all NC State did was take threes. How you get to the foul line by driving to the basket.
Sure.
Basketball knowers know this.
I am not intimating there's some sort of conspiracy. This is not like, oh my God, the refs. It is just a reality. You are not going to get a very soft whistle in the NCAA tournament like they got last night. You're also going to be playing a lot better competition than this NC State team. Your path to the national championship does not go through NC State. It does not go through Cameron Indoor Stadium. So that's the bigger picture that you have to have and watch this Duke team through the lens that you need to watch them. I finally have your comp, Duke fans. You're so mad at me about Josh McRoberts, even though the numbers are very, very similar. If you will want to go back and look at them, I'll post them for you. And the comp was he will be a better scorer and make more threes than Josh McRoberts. By the way, Josh McRoberts in 06-07 made 5 total 3-pointers the whole season. Right now, Cooper Flagg has 25 3-pointers on the season. The rest of their numbers are extremely similar. not the point. I have a new comp for you.
Okay.
And I want you to get excited about this comp because it finally came to me like in a vision. Like I was Daenerys Targaryen, and the vision came to me and I saw it. Are you ready?
I think I have a new way to break out the monster voice.
New comp alert. Duke comp alert.
Here is the comp you're looking for.
Okay, Obi-Wan.
2003, the national champions had 3 freshmen. 3. One was outstanding. A no doubt best freshman, best player in the country. His name was Carmelo Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo Anthony in the national championship game against Roy Williams and Kansas. Speaking of free throw discrepancies, Carmelo Anthony in the national championship game, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 7 dimes. Does that sound familiar at all to somebody we've seen this? Okay, it does. It does.
Yeah.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So far, so good. G-Mac, Jerry McNamara,
Right.
the white, a.k.a. the designated white shooter. Let's see. Do you have one of those? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You have Con Knipple to be your G-Mac. G-Mac, 6 threes in that national championship win over Kansas, 18 points. Now, wait a second. Didn't Syracuse have another freshman, another younger player who was a force inside, really long? Wait a second. They did. Hakeem Warwick. That's your Malwatch.
Yeah.
That's your man. We are 3 for 3 right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about the national champions.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I found your comp. Oh, timeout. Let's go to the box score.
Do you
Let's
think
go.
Jim Boeheim has told John Shire, I've seen this before?
And you're going zone.
And you've gone
It's
zone?
it's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Queth Daney in the national championship game. In 13 minutes, here's your Mason Gillis, 11 points. Heated it up, older player. Heated it up, scored. Billy Edelin, the slow and steady extra guard, 12 points in the national championship game. Okay? That's your comp. Now, I've given you the 3 freshmen. I mean, I have a fair amount of confidence. You have the Melo. You have the G-Mac. You have the Hakeem Warwick. Who's going to be the ancillary supporters when the money's on the table to win you the basketball game? Not only to win the basketball game, but to win the national championship. This is what's in play, guys. Okay? So when I tell you I understand your standard, and you keep trying to tell me, don't go back so many years. It's a totally different game. You're right. The game has changed. But what hasn't is to win the national championship, it has to be 3s, multiples of 3s. It can't be one singular star. Okay? You have to help them. And there's your comp. Carmelo Anthony, Syracuse 03. The question is, who are going to be those other 2 guys? Who will it be? This magic bullet Syracuse player that you're pining for?
That's the thing.
Will it be that? I don't know. I don't have the answer for you. I'm just telling you the way that you're playing and the way that you're currently constructed is not going to get you to where you want to go. You have to have more help.
So where I would say is that help has to start finding itself. Okay. And Shire talked about this last night about the evolution of their season. And we've seen Shire talk about this sort of evolution of the season the previous 2 years, but the previous 2 years were not built the way that this year was supposed to be built. National championship. You got Cooper Flagg, right? And there's also an evolution to how you coach these guys. And Cooper Flagg, who's just 18 years old, he just turned 18. He's going to have some freshman moments. And we saw that last night in the first half where he was not effective. And there was a timeout that people made a big deal out of. And we were doing the After Dark, so I wasn't in the post game listening to the press conference yesterday. And went and listened to Shaq. Well, I went back to the press room and talking to some of the fellas. And they were like, yeah, man, Cooper Flagg called himself soft with the way that he played in that first half. I was like, oh, interesting. What would Shire say? He's like, well, Shire had a more diplomatic way of how he coached up Cooper Flagg. And here's that exchange last night.
What kind of conversation did you have with Cooper at halftime? It seemed like he came out a more aggressive and assertive player in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, look, Coop is he's a special guy. You know, he's a special guy because he played 39 minutes Saturday, really carried us throughout, and then you come back and you don't get to catch your breath when it's a Saturday Monday game. And obviously, we're going to be in this. We have a couple more situations in the ACC play. So I think it's a lot of physical prep. It's a lot of physical contact on him, and just the going through it for the first time. He didn't have the same pop in the first half. He was just trying to catch his wind, and then finally at halftime, he just got angry. He just had a chip, and sometimes when you do that, you forget about being tired. And he had some all-time plays in Cameron just to will us back, and that's a credit to his spirit and what he did in that second half.
Just real quick follow-up. Does he play better when he's angry and pissed off a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think he's at his best when he's having fun and just the purity of it, which I think you saw tonight also, but he's really at his best when there's a chip, and I thought you definitely saw that. 23 in the second half, you said? Yeah, I mean, 23, but again, he's passing, he's rebounding, he's blocking. That's the thing to me that nobody else in the country does. You can look at stats up on a screen, but his blocks, rebounds, timely plays, to me, is what makes him the best.
So that was Shire after the game. That is specific to Cooper Flagg. I have zero doubts that Cooper Flagg will continue to evolve as a National Player of the Year candidate the rest of the way. And that's all part of it. And I know that there's this, you put yourself in this position to learn and prepare yourself for when you get to the great game that is March. So this whole Saturday to Monday turnaround, I get all that stuff. That's all part of the conversation. But I think this is where you and I both agree that you're not going to see a team like NC State in the NCAA tournament. And defensively,
maybe the 16 seed.
Maybe. And defensively, I'm not really all that worried about Duke. And a lot of people have been pointing out, I know Ben put it out on the call, and I've received some feedback on this. Like, well, they don't have Malik Brown out there. I'm like, guys, I get that. This is not me dismissing the impact of Malik Brown defensively for the Duke Blue Devils. You can go back to the Auburn game and see how key he was in their win against Auburn. Hard stop. But NC State's not Auburn. Okay. That's not it. That's not it. Same thing with the Wake game too. I thought they actually played a pretty good defensive game against Wake. The issue for Duke is not defense. The issue for Duke is offense. I don't know why people are focused on, defensively there was this. No. When you go up, 13 in the second half, that's when you put your foot on the neck of NC State. And in order to do that, your guys need to step up. Key contributors need to step up. And right now, they got two guys on any given night. They're going to give them stuff. I think the way you put it is what? Cooper Flagg is a scorer, right? But he's not a shooter. And they have not had any consistency in that regard. So you look at the NC State and the Wake Forest games, these back-to-back games, strip the whole Saturday, Monday thing out of this. But Duke's three-point shooting, they went 9 of 32 in the Wake Forest game and 4 of 20 against NC State. That ain't it, man.
I'm struggling a lot with this Saturday, Monday turnaround.
I get what the angle is, though.
But one game was in Winston-Salem, the other game was in Durham. Like, I know. Do we need to go call SMU or Stanford or Cal or any of these? Like, come on, man.
I understand what the trope is. That is one of those classic basketball. It's late January, early February. You're trying to get an idea of what these teams are going to be. And these are building block moments for teams in the end, especially for somebody like Cooper Flagg who hasn't been through these situations before. But then, of course, I can always push back. I mean, wasn't this dude playing like 8 games in a day? Back in the day. Anyway, all these things
turn the air
tropes.
on in Cameron, and come on, guys.
I know. But I'll just to close the portion of the conversation on Duke. I do not sweat Duke defensively. That ain't it.
No, that
is not it.
No.
Okay. Could they use Malik Brown? Absolutely. But that's not why State was hitting threes a bunch last night. I'm sorry. That wasn't it. It's offensively that I have some questions about Duke, and they need a more consistent second guy who can shoot. And even Con Knipples had some off nights, but on some off nights, who's actually, putting it in? They'll have an Isaiah Evans out of nowhere game, right? Or Tyrese Proctor will be the one who's carrying the load. But in order to get to that championship, you're going to need two of those dudes, because it gets back to the conversation with Steve Forbes about, hey, man, we call JJ Redick rules.
Yeah, we're in JJ Redick protocols.
Let Cooper Flagg get his stats. Cool. No worries. I like my chances if nobody else is going to step up. All right, that was the State angle. That was the Duke angle. Let's close with the Carolina angle. Jeannie calling in on the sports phone.
Good morning, boys. Giglio, you're right. Duke is not a monster. Maybe the 91-92 was a monster. UConn last year, maybe a monster. And Carolina in 09, a monster. But when you have Cooper Flagg and Nipples being the best guys on the team, and the way State played them, the proof they're not a monster. But congratulations to State. I know no moral victories, but good for them. And obvious, cookies and biscuits aren't going to do it for me. I need vodka and wine to get through Carolina games. Have a good day, guys.
Which gets to Saturday. How much vodka and wine will be needed for Carolina fans when they go to Cameron? Because remember, UNC warm-up, Joe. UNC warm-up.
No, there's one thing about this game that I will always say that people, even Jay Billis doesn't articulate well when he's talking about how it always delivers. There's one thing you always have to remember about this game. Okay. Yes, college basketball is changing. Yes, you're seeing more transfers on both sides. But ultimately, the people who determined this game, they were all 5-star recruits. And they all went to this game on their official visit. This is the game they went to. And this is the reason they chose either Carolina or Duke to play in this game. I think it was his name Trayvon Duval?
Yes.
I think he was the kid from Delaware who created his own video about when he was committing to Duke. He was a very pedestrian player. But when he got to this game, it was like, oh my God. Oh, yes, I forgot. Remember that official visit when, I'll clean up my language, when a co-ed was really nice to me on the visit and we had a milkshake together? Remember that?
What's cookout?
God, that was a great weekend. Now I remember. Now I remember why I'm here. Every time this game is played, you see an Ian Jackson, you see a Caleb Love, you see that Jason Tatum, you see that 5-star guy go, oh yeah. Cooper Flagg's going to get to this game on Saturday night and go, I remember when they were chanting my name, standing over there behind. This is the reason I'm here.
Not the State game?
This is the reason I'm here.
Yeah.
And then you see all of those players kind of have the realization, oh, shit, the first 3 months of the season are over. But the great game is afoot.
The great game is brought to you by our friends at Keller Williams Commercial. The Donnelly team. Hit them up, 919-616-8681 or trianglencommercial.com. NC State was shooting so many bricks. I'm sure the Donnelly team had some commercial real estate that they could have used off those bricks in the beginning of the season. No bricks last night. Couple air balls, but not a lot of bricks for NC State. All jokes aside, you need some commercial real estate. You need warehouse space, anything like that. Very specific need,
bigger
obviously.
Office. I'm going to need a bigger boat.
Then they got you. So go to trianglencommercial.com. They bring you all of our ACC hoops conversations. Of course, the OG sports phone, which you can call at 919-444-2211. Anytime we go to the OG sports phone, that is brought to you by our friends over at Nature's Relief. Check them out online, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF. hempstore.com.
What would you, is that the telephone receiver, Joe? Is that what that is?
So Anna had the receiver on the phone.
On the hook. Okay.
And it really was phallic. And I was like, maybe take the phone off the hook. Okay. So instead now it looks like something else entirely.
Sure.
That you might use to enjoy yourself.
Sure.
Much like you can enjoy yourself at Nature's Relief. 919-444-2211 is the OG sports phone, which let's go back to the OG sports phone as we transition to some other things that came out of last night's game.
Obvious, you're wrong. Krzyzewski was there. He was just over by that thermostat, kept saying, who's turning this shit down? And he kept cranking it back up. And we see what happens. We got people passing out, people throw it up, but that old man don't care. He said, I want it hot, baby.
That's an old school Duke night last night. I think this last OG
That
Sports
World War II heat will get you, man.
dude.
It will get you.
And people who act like, oh, no, it's always. No, it's not. No, it's not. It depends on the game. It depends on the mood they're in. I can guarantee you Saturday, it's going to be just as hot. Just as hot for the Carolina.
Well, they
Duke
might
game.
want Malwatch to be able to stay on the floor.
Yeah, there's that too. All right. I think this sports phone call will transition us into the next topic.
Hello again, OG. 8:44 p.m. This fake bullshit golf is still on in overtime. Where's the NC State Duke game? Once again, NC State's going to get their ass whipped. This is bullshit. Thank you, asleep at the wheel, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips. You're welcome. Good night now.
This reminds me of when the ACC network first launched, and remember they had a big deal about the ACC football schedule reveal or the basketball reveal. It was one of the two.
It was the football, and there was an overtime soccer game.
Yeah. And the soccer game like went an extra hour. And this is like their big moment. Like, we got our network. We're going to launch. Here we go. And then it's soccer. It was like Wake Forest versus Notre Dame or something like that. That went into overtime. And the two things last night that kind of cracked me up that I didn't realize. One, I didn't realize that Golf League was on, and that's why this game wasn't starting until 8:30. It was such a weird time to start a basketball game. And then, on top of that, last time I checked, I mean, for the old school folks out there, Monday night ESPN college basketball is what, Joe?
Big Monday.
Big freaking Monday. And the ACC, in their infinite wisdom on Big Monday, with a national championship contending Duke Blue Devils with Cooper freaking Flagg, which is instant content for you. What in their infinite wisdom do they decide to do on the ACC network?
The football schedule reveal.
Are you couldn't wait for a freaking Tuesday when there ain't shit?
Hey, man, anybody can do a show on a Monday.
That's my thing.
You gotta fill this thing on a Tuesday.
That's my thing.
They need our help.
It's Monday.
We'll put a text in.
I mean, that's not the day to do stuff like that. Wednesday is the day to do this. There ain't shit happening on a Wednesday, man. So they also think about us.
That's what I'm saying. It's selfish, but things we've learned. Dear Jim and Amy,
help us out.
Anybody can do this on a Monday.
Includes the football schedule.
You got to work those corners, though, on a Tuesday, Wednesday to be really good.
Housekeeping.
It's brought to you by Enovana. Check them out online, enovana.com. Green cleaning solutions. When I was driving into Eford Studios today, I saw an Enovana car on the way. So what I love about
you mean it wasn't parked outside your house?
It was not.
You've given them a permanent residency.
That'll be in a week and a half. They'll be here. So we got the Basketball Jones coming up this Friday at the Rialto. I'm curious to see if Bomani admits that maybe John Shire is actually likable. You know,
Ooh, well,
that might be.
It's a good question.
And that might be an interesting question for Bo, man. I'm just saying. But in the meantime, you can get your tickets at therialto.com. Bomani's going to be there. Tyler Hansbrough, Marcus Ginyard, Lavelle Moten, Scott Wood in the house as well. We're going to have a fun time just talking hoops. It'll be a really, really fun time at the Rialto. You want to win tickets? I have a suggestion for you. Get in today's YouTube comment section.
Ooh.
All right. Say, I want these Basketball Jones tickets. And then I'll figure out a way to make sure that it's you that gets those tickets. I don't know if I can direct message on YouTube, but we'll figure something out. We will figure something out.
Speaking of World War II heat, Rialto, we will be cozy.
Do they even have an HVAC system?
We will be cozy.
I will not be wearing a hoodie.
I promise you.
I will not be wearing a hoodie. Speaking of cozy, cozy up with us, Sully's Golf and Gather next week, February 5th. You can just hang out. I'm going to actually have koozies and stickers and magnets. OG magnets.
Whoa.
I got a deal.
I don't have any magnets.
I got a deal. I was very excited to get these magnets.
Oh, somebody sent me a hat too in the wild. Did we get new hats?
We're about to have Founders Club hats. delivered to folks.
I don't know how to get to my own Instagram.
I was at Costco the other day and I saw somebody rocking the white dad hat. So shout outs to you, the OG hat. So yeah, we got the Founders Clubs hat that are coming out. So you can just hang out with us at Sully's next week, Golf and Gather out in Garner. But if you want to participate in some fake golf that won't go over and get in the way of
we
basketball,
will not interfere with the start of any basketball.
we are
games.
not going to interfere with any basketball.
No.
You can hang out with us at Sully's. Again, $15. Giglio.joe@gmail.com is the email. Email Joe directly, and we're going to be good to go. I will need coffee. Lots of coffee today. You know who actually has great coffee? Breeze Through. I got to fill up because I'm living that dangerous life with the 0 on the range of the Civic. I don't know how much further I can go, but I'm going to go get some gas. I'm going to get some coffee with our friends over at Breeze Through. You know what I would not wear at Cameron Indoor Stadium? I would not wear a home field fleece at Cameron Indoor Stadium on Saturday night because I don't want to sweat and potentially pass out. That would be bad.
You don't want to get dragged out like Pebbles or Wilma from.
However, I will rock my home field if I'm watching the game at home. That's what it's all about. The comfort of your own couch. Get some sweatpants, get the hoodies, get the shirts, get the bomber jackets, all that stuff. Use that promo code OG24 if you haven't already. 15% off your first order. I say if you haven't already, because we might have a new promo code dropping soon. So just saying, keep an eye on that. Big thanks to our friends at Two Roosters, tworoosters.com. Saturday is going to be one of the all-timers at Two Roosters. 9 a.m.
I've already set my alarm.
Breakfast ice cream.
National Ice Cream for Breakfast Day is Saturday. They're opening up at 9 a.m. All of their locations. I will be there to get the Bowberry Biscuit Sundae. It's a Bowberry biscuit with ice cream that has Bowberry biscuits mixed into it already.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pièce de résistance. Jared has the glaze to go on top of it all.
It sounds amazing.
Diabetes. Here we go.
If you want more information, go to tworoosters.com. As I mentioned, the ACC schedules came out last night. They did it week by week.
Wait a second, though. Going back to the last segment. Is this the new hat?
Yes, that's one of them.
Okay.
That's one of them.
You remember that time I saw the bootleg Positive Vibes Only with our name on it on the internet? I was just worried that someone had done that again.
No. Our friends over at Basics, because you see the hat and then you see the beanie, that's an option as well.
Option. Okay, cool.
So yeah, there's multiple options. And then I forgot to tell you, we're going over to Basics on Thursday morning.
Yes.
Because it's like the Magic Kingdom for you.
Okay.
I know you love a hat.
Okay.
And you like to pick things.
I do.
You're very opinionated about these things.
Correct.
So I thought, you know what, and you're like me in that you want to see it.
Yeah, I'm a big toucher-seer.
Put it on your head. How does it feel, right?
Yes.
It's like when we had our friends from Roback show up to the OG Golf Classic. Sometimes
that's the best way to sell it.
It looks good on the internet, but man, I got to see it.
How's it going to fit?
So we're going to go over to Basics on Thursday so you can actually see all these hats.
Okay.
I hope you have the credit card ready.
It's right there. There's a zero balance on it. So
perfect.
We do have to pay our taxes though. So
how often do we pay taxes?
4 times a year.
I feel, you know how you are with me about Inovana every other week. Inovana showing up to my place. I feel like every other week we're paying taxes.
Not only do we have to pay our taxes, we have to pay our accountant to prepare and file our taxes. That's the one. That's the real.
Well,
that's the real.
I'm in the process of getting 1099 amended to correct it.
Yeah, that was.
I got to get that one fixed for you.
That one is. Yeah. Well, we're having a meeting, but
are we having a meeting? We're having a meeting. Okay, we're having a meeting.
Having a meeting.
I know tax laws can be complicated, but we have full proof that money has been routed to a business account.
It's just a matter of going through the process of getting it corrected. I'm not sweating.
I'm just saying, like, if you need our Whitaker and Hamer friends to call them and be like, hey, here's where the money's been routed all year. We just had the wrong tax ID number on the account. Please, pretty please, with sugar on top.
Yeah, we
should got to count towards our, not your personal taxes.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Okay,
it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Look at all this problem solving I'm doing.
Yes,
so much problem.
So the ACC schedules came out.
The football schedules came out. This used to be your least favorite day of the year on the radio because I think I know the answer to this.
Okay.
The schedule release is a very inside-y, baseball-y. The only people who really care are the writers who travel with these teams, and the people who have to talk about something for a living on a show. So like no one is legitimate other than like Chung and Steve Young. No one is like legitimately looking at the schedule release and going, all right, well, I got to get that flight to Chicago.
Well, let me
I
ask
gotta
you this.
They're looking at it like, oh, wait, we still don't have the times. Great. I still can't make a plan.
So let me ask you this. I don't begrudge ESPN or any other television network for like the NFL network with the NFL release. I don't begrudge NFL teams for making insane and amazing social media videos out of their schedule release. I mean, that's creative. Don't get me wrong. Okay. But I don't watch those because I need to know when the Panthers are playing. I watch those because I'm like, oh, what cool thing
What'd you do?
What did the Panthers do?
How'd you shine it up?
Right?
Yeah.
So what I don't understand is, can't you just release it? Or why can't you just wait?
A week at a time, though, Joe.
Build that anticipation.
And for what?
And
we don't even know if these teams are any freaking good. But the analysis, like toughest stretches, easiest stretches.
Hey man, I had to write those. I used to have to write those.
Did. So like what I'm trying to galaxy brain here is, well, let's start with NC State.
Can we start with Bill Belichick though? Because like part of my favorite part of the schedule release was our guy Josh Graham being like, Bill Belichick makes the trip to so-and-so ... on October ... And all I can think of in the back of my head is like, are you sure?
Well,
I would probably qualify that as Carolina.
He'll be there.
We'll be there.
So UNC, to their credit, creatively, we get the schedule release leaks that come out the week before, and they announced, hey, Labor Day, Monday night. The graphic was cool. Monday Night Football. See what they did there with Bill Belichick? I see you, Carolina. Very well done. Very well done. But I'm looking at Carolina's schedule, and I know you've told me their schedule is easy peasy.
But when it's very first day, that even before he committed to the job, I was like, buddy.
Yeah, you have right there.
I'll keep this one. We'll sell this off because, sir.
When you lay it all out, I go, damn, they really do have an easy schedule. And to me, my first thought was, man, Carolina's schedule doesn't start until October 4th. And you're wondering, I'm putting my beat writer hat on here. Like, all right, what's my angle here? All right, well, you know what I see? I see October 4th, they go to Clemson. And you know what my immediate thought for Carolina, Clemson, in Death Valley?
Oh, that's got the Dabo special written all over it.
Is Dabo working on his speeches right now?
Yes.
Is he coming up with a new short bus type thing?
Ooh, we got this is the Mesopotamian rain tables lineup that we have 2 open dates again on the schedule this year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the schedule makers have a sense of humor. Bill Belichick runs through the Big Four gauntlet to close the season out.
Again, Carolina runs through.
No, Bill Belichick.
Carolina.
They go to Wake. They host Duke. And then they go to Carter Finley Stadium. So that was my immediate thoughts on the UNC schedule. One last note about Carolina and Bill Belichick. I saw this on Awful Announcing. Welcome to the party, Awful Announcing. They had a whole story about what Bill Belichick's relationship with the North Carolina media is going to be. And the whole premise was, hey, man, in the NFL, you can do these types of things. But in college, there's a completely different, almost symbiotic relationship between the coaching staff and the press that covers them. Because you 24/7 sites on 3.
You help me with recruiting. I'll help you with, we got a new tight ends coach.
So as I continue to talk to people whose job it is to be around, I continue to get more mixed messaging. Like signing day is next week. The second signing day is next week.
Yeah, first Wednesday in February.
And they put out an email about some, like Carolina just like signed 21 guys or whatever it was, right?
Cool.
I mean, we know how Mac treated signing day up until the last signing day. Up until
the last one.
I mean, that was his Super Bowl, man. Who's going to talk? Is Bill Belichick going to talk about these recruits?
Beat Duke. Billy's first words, beat Duke. Not till November 22nd. That's late.
Or are we going to wait for Mike Lombardi to go on the McAfee show to talk about the recruits that are coming in as a quick aside before he decides to start talking about the tush push?
Yeah, either way, it'll be glorious.
I'm just curious. And I'm not trying to be an ass about this. I am genuinely like wondering how they're going to handle this kind of stuff, because the impression that I'm getting is that most of the communication, we talked to Andrew Jones about this a couple of weeks ago over from Tar Heel Illustrated. And it's almost like a weird communication black hole out in Chapel Hill. Like, who's running the show? type thing in terms of who you're going to talk to. And then Mike Lombardi's popping up on McAfee. So I'll be curious to see how that all plays out. Now, NC State. I
tried to tell you this as well. I love it when it's one thing when the audience catches up with my points weeks and months later.
But
it's another when you catch up with my points.
But you know why?
Weeks and months later.
This is something that you and I do to each other all the time, right? Like it takes you about a month sometimes to get the epiphany of like, oh, I see what Joe was saying. Okay, fine. If only, right?
Will they build a dome, please?
It's not that I don't listen to you. It's not that I don't listen to you, right? It's just that I'm not looking at the schedule.
Right.
I'm like, why? Why am I looking at the schedule in January? I don't care. I don't care right now. But when I took a glance at it today, you okay with it? When I took a glance at it today, I went, oh, damn. Okay. I see what Joe was talking about.
Yeah. So next,
brutal schedule.
While I think fairly competently Carolina will go 9-3.
Yeah.
At a basement there, a floor.
Yeah.
I look at State's floor. Ooh. I mean, I feel good about Campbell.
Okay.
I feel good about Campbell. I'm not even being an asshole right now. I'm just telling you.
That's fair.
The way the old beat writer would evaluate this, I would say I feel real good about Campbell.
Yeah.
I feel real good. They're definitely going to lose to Notre Dame, right? They never really beat Miami since the one Russell game. So let's put that one in, probably not going to win. And then what does that leave us? That leaves us, that's 2, that's 3. That means we have 9 more games that are 50-50 games, basically, right? How are they going to go in the 50-50 games in those 9 50-50 games? I mean, unlike last year where I'm counting Cal and some horseshit teams as 50-50 games, and last year's schedule was a huge pile of it, and they still managed to bungle their way through it. Like, this is the opposite of that. So 2-10 is in play for this team next year, and they might actually be a better football team. Wrap your brain around that.
I can't. I cannot wrap my brain around that. I simply cannot. Duke, got any thoughts?
Requires me looking at their football schedule.
Duke's football schedule is, let me see what we got here. Hold on a second.
I love the kid that they brought in from Tulane. I think he's a baller. Illinois is
they'll see Tulane.
Illinois is going to beat them because they play a different style. Then in the league, they do play Georgia Tech, who's a problem. Clemson's obviously a problem. Carolina will be an issue, but I mean, they should be 8-4. I mean, I don't see anything preventing them from going 8-4. Tulane's a good team, but they have their quarterback.
Who is more likely to get over on Bill Belichick, Manny Diaz or
Duke
or Dave Doran?
Duke.
You think Duke's going to be okay?
Yeah,
but okay.
I think Carolina's schedule plays out. They win their first 4 games. They lose to Clemson. Then they beat Cal. Cal and Virginia are terrible. They probably lose at Syracuse. Then they beat Stanford, Wake, and then they split between Duke and State, and they go 9-3.
Now, if to close this out, if this was really classic sports talk radio, what we would do
is each game give it to Owen, ding, 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 and then raw.
We have
okay. Now you gotta get the NFL Films music behind us. Dun, 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 dun,
you could do this a couple of different
The
ways.
autumn wind is a pirate.
My personal favorite would be to just open up the phone lines, give us what you think State, Carolina, or Duke is going to do this upcoming season, and enter in for your chance for a gift card. Like, that's the classic way to goose the calls. Classic way to goose the calls.
I'll say this: NC State does not play Boston College next year. That's good.
And then the other way to go about it is through confidence, right? Like you do like
all about confidence.
You know what we haven't done in a while? Like what's the bowl pool, right? You rank them based on your confidence. Like you have like an allotment of things. You could do that with the regular season.
I think NC State has the schedule wrong on their own website, by the way.
Shout out to the Wolfpack.
They play Virginia next year in a non-conference game. I don't think that Virginia Tech game is right.
I'll have to double check on that one. DraftKings Sportsbook app right now, and if you want to put some futures bets on college football, you can do that right now. In fact, I'm looking at Carolina TCU right now for UNC TCU. Carolina is -2.5 at -110. Right now, your odds-on favorite to win the college football playoff is Ohio State at +450. Texas is 550. Georgia 600. Oregon is 750. I am scrolling for my first ACC squad. It's Clemson at +2,000. Miami is +2,500. I am not seeing North Carolina on here to win the national championship, but Georgia Tech, you can get that at +20,000 if you want to. Who says no? Who says no?
I do.
Virginia's +100,000.
State, by the way, does play Virginia Tech next year. They just don't have the Virginia game on their website. They open ECU. I do feel confident in that they can beat Virginia. So those are the two games I feel confident. Campbell and Virginia.
Here it is. I was looking for North Carolina. North Carolina and Florida State have the same odds, +10,000 to win the college football playoff.
But what about to make the playoff?
I think I got to go
because maybe 10-2 gets you there.
Maybe. I just know that
who would they beat that would impress somebody if they went 10-2?
That's the only team. That's the only futures I can get is to win it. I have not seen any other futures. But anyway, that's the futures. There's single game parlays. There's multi-game parlays. And hey, we are just around the corner from the Super Bowl. And that is also a Super Bowl for you, the individual, at a party, hanging out with your friends, going back and forth about how you think you're going to get this right and they're going to be wrong. All sorts of fun stuff that you can do, and you can all share it with the DraftKings Sportsbook app. They have like betting groups and everything else where everybody can get together and have a good time, smack talk, everything else. But when it comes to the Super Bowl, DraftKings Sportsbook is where you want to be, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 59. So you can do something as simple as anytime touchdowns. You can do a quick game parlay, all sorts of stuff that you can do. And it's all on the app. And if you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that promo code OG24 and bet $5, you will get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Again, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use that promo code OG24 as a new customer. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive reward. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball.
Big thanks to our friends over at O2 Fitness. With O2 Fitness, visit their website, o2fitnessclubs.com. Renew Physiotherapy. Maybe Renew Physiotherapy's got a Theragun for your throat to get rid of that cough.
Boom. I like that.
You good? You've had that lingering cough.
That's what I'm saying. It's like one of those things where I actually like feel better now, but now the cough is like, oh, don't go away.
Oh,
I love you. I want to stay.
I'll take it back. I swear. I didn't mean what I said.
I want to stay with you guys.
Hey, man, I get it. I got that post-nasal drip right now after I was going through it last week. But
only NC State, by the way, could put the wrong schedule on their own.
I know. That's going to bother you. That's going to bother you.
I try so hard sometimes.
And you wonder why they are the way they are. It's that simple. Here's the thing. You might wonder why you are the way that you are. You know what? Get out there, man.
Make better
choices. Go to O2 Fitness Club.
Dear Jilly.
Make better choices.
Great. I'm glad you're here. However, you know what would really help you? Make better choices.
Now, part of that is making sure you're outfitted right when you go to O2 Fitness. May I suggest you go to Rowback. Rowback.com. Use the promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. Incredibly comfortable gym shorts. They're coming out with new colorways all the time. Giglio's got the quarter zip right now. Are you double rowbacking?
Yes. America.
Love it.
You like the America. We got the Lady Liberty on there, some fireworks, a flag, the White House, the Lincoln Memorial, Frederick Douglass, Benjamin Franklin.
Love it. Good stuff.
It's like a little puzzle.
I like that. So Go to rowback.com and get gear like that if you're going to go out and golf. But more importantly, if you're going to the gym, they got really great, comfortable t-shirts. They got great gym shorts, everything that you need. And speaking of making better choices.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
Make better choices by going to Happy and Hail. Smoothies to help you pick up and go. Really awesome, incredible meals that you can use the app to download the app, order, pick up and go with our locations at North Hills, out of North Raleigh, and of course in Durham. We're going to be at the North Hills location next Thursday, correct?
Yeah, noon, North Hills.
Okay.
Thursday. Come and see us. We're going to have a new promo code. So here's what you do. Download the app, Happy and Hill. Use that promo code OG25 starting next week, and you're going to be able to get 25% off your first order.
Awesome. Big thanks to our friends at Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Get a moisture barrier like Papa Lou. Go to bugsbite.com. I know you're not thinking about mosquitoes right now, but they handle it all with Pest Authority and Mosquito Authority, including things like the moisture barrier.
Well, I was going to say, maybe you're not thinking about bugs, but maybe you are thinking about, January and February are the two of the most popular months to sell your home. Well, one of the big problems with your home, it can be moisture and mold and mildew. You want to see a real fast way for you not to get the value on your home? Well, there's an easy way to do that and protect yourself. I have the 360 moisture barrier, as my dad likes to call it. I got the crawl space shrink wrap.
The shrink wrap. Yeah, that's right. A little saran wrap down there. Good stuff.
At some point in my life, I'll understand why Zeus has a bra on in this.
So I had dinner with some friends of ours, and Jason is huge, and he's a big believer in AI.
Okay,
right? And he's finding ways to utilize AI in his daily life. I'm just kind of like, or you could just Google it. I don't know.
I mean, it's technically the same thing.
I mean, yes and no, right? I mean, because the use cases for AI kind of cracked me up, and I was like, you could just talk to a human about that.
Nah.
Okay, cool. I said, look, I am not somebody that is not using AI. For instance, with part of the Adobe plan that OG Media is subscribed to, you have access to AI generated videos. And when I had put in, like, give me like powerful God with lightning, it spit out Zeus with a bra. Just like when we did Totally Not a Pregame, I said I needed I typed in like hockey pregame video or something like that. And it gave me this AI generated image of a stadium with hockey players on the ice. If you go back and you watch it closely, you will see like amorphous looking hockey players, like they're skating to the bench, but the bench just kind of absorbs them because it's AI. It doesn't quite know.
Oh.
But I'll say this about AI. This is the worst version of AI you're ever going to see. It's only going to get better.
Days.
It's only going to get better from here. Which, man, if I'm a graphic designer or a video person, I'd be freaking out. I'm freaking out as doing this podcast stuff. So, because who's to say that, the large language model is not skimming everything we talk about, and they could just spit out a State Carolina take. A schedule release analysis.
I know what
based
AI,
on real voices.
I know what AI can't do.
What's that?
Make real Giglio awakening barbecue from the eastern part of this state.
They cannot do that. That's why you go to Sam Jones. No AI at Sam Jones. Everything is real at Sam Jones. Speaking of real, at some point,
transition.
At some
Ovies
point,
brain. Here we go. Where are we going?
At some point, the NFL is going to utilize the technology that's currently available to them, not AI, but like stuff that is real and tangible today, like the ability to spot a football properly.
Oh,
wouldn't that be a novel concept, right?
Too late for the Bills, but
yeah, there is that. So this is from Mike Florio over at ProFootballTalk.com. NFL has been testing optical tracking technology for first down measurements. Look, man, all I'm going to say is I can, with my iPhone, properly get a measurement of a room on the camera alone. Have you ever used the measurement tool on the iPhone? It's pretty damn accurate. It's pretty scary good, okay? There's also some other crazy stuff that I can do with this phone.
Can you take your blood pressure on the new phone?
I think you need the watch for that.
Okay.
I think you need the watch for that. Regardless. Heck, man.
Good choice.
The Nintendo Wii had better like spatial awareness. So you're telling me nearly 20-year-old technology of the Nintendo Wii is still ahead of where the NFL might be? Like, get a freaking Xbox Kinect out there that can identify bodies and spatial awareness if you want to. I'm sure there's some of those lying around in a warehouse somewhere. You already have a deal with Microsoft with the Surface. Hit up Bill Gates. Actually, no, Bill Gates doesn't do anything anymore. Who is the CEO of Microsoft now? I can't remember the guy's name. Regardless, hit him up. Hit up your partner. Hey, man, you got any old Kinects around? Because we got to spot them on the field so that way we can make sure where it's at. So according to the Sports Business Journal, they've been testing optical tracking technology that can, quote, supplement or replace first down chains and officiating decisions currently judged by the human eye. It's a camera-based system that can be applied to a variety of topics, including determining whether passes and laterals were forward or backward, where punts cross out of bounds along the side, and whether a quarterback is in or out of the pocket with potential intentional grounding calls. So here's my question.
Oh, man, you're really hitting those Bills fans here on a Tuesday.
Well,
this is the Music City Miracle.
This is where I don't blame Bills fans or really any other fan who gets upset about this kind of stuff. It's like the technology is there. Why won't you use it? I have a theory, though.
Yeah, because you want to act like you're the Girl Scouts, and the only way that you can get your team for the big trip to Disney this year is to make sure you sell enough tag-alongs.
Right. The poor NFL is so poor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a theory as to why the NFL is refusing to do this, why they won't just straight up do a Sky Judge either.
Well, Sky Judge should come first.
I agree.
What we've seen in the spring, and I understand the limitations, but you could train, you'll never need more than 16. You can train 16 people to work 18 weeks a year and work those games.
The reason why they will not do this is because the NFL uses controversial officiating decisions as a feature, not a bug.
Sure.
It is part of the discourse. It is part of the reason why you are hooked on the NFL. If you implemented the technology that's available today to remove all these judgment calls that get the people going, what do you have left? Wait, you mean I have to talk about the damn game? Shit, I can't do that. I don't want to talk about the game. I want to talk about how I was screwed. But of course, this could lead to another example of being screwed. And I will go to a guy that I don't like to reference very often.
The
but
Wi-Fi went out.
We'll get there.
There are many topics for lightning rounds today on OMG.
Think about it, Joe. We don't like doing the show from outside the studio.
I don't.
Can you imagine the Wi-Fi connectivity issues that they would have for some of these things? And you know it would break down like in the worst possible way.
Yes.
And like Duke last night having to go to the janitor. The NFL would have to go to like some secret bunker in New York to some guy, some IT guy with a headset in the old Jurassic Park, Samuel Jackson smoking a cigarette, being like, did you hit caps lock? Did you try rebooting?
Did you do a hard reset? Like, did you unplug it?
We need that. We definitely need that.
Well, there's a sequence. You got to unplug the router, then you got to go to the actual base that's plugged into. Anyway, I've done this a couple times with my AT&T fiber. No knock on AT&T fiber. It's been very, very good.
You can tell them whatever they need to tell them. They don't give us money.
I know. It's fine. But they might one day. I logged on to Facebook because I was going to post something, and I'm presented with this from Dave Portnoy of Barstool.
Mm-hmm.
And I have questions. He says this is over the spotting of the football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quitting watching football. There is no other way to teach Goodell a lesson. This is blatant cheating. Hashtag NFL rigged. Now, this is amusing to me that Dave Portnoy, a guy who waged quote unquote war over Roger Goodell over his own team's cheating scandals, actual cheating, Deflategate, Spygate, is upset about this particular thing. But I need to understand the mentality that takes place now, that guys like Dave Portnoy, whose entire existence is based on NFL and NFL gambling, okay? And I'm not saying it as a knock. I'm not saying it as a knock. Your entire existence is based on these two factors.
I want pizza.
Whatever. He's not the first guy to review a freaking pizza, but that's the here nor there.
I'm just giving him a little bit of credit.
I understand. Well, coming from a guy who never gets credit for things that were done and then somebody else does it with like much more budget.
Yeah.
Like,
unfamiliar with that.
I'm not familiar with that at all. So, like, congratulations, Dave Portnoy. You're the first guy to ever review pizzas. Mm-hmm. Salute, right? Anyway, that's not my point. Why do people do this? Why is the reaction of I'm quitting football? Oh, sure, Dave. Sure.
Let me just check DraftKings to see if your pick of the week is.
Sure, Dave. Got it. But I know what it is.
Dave, let me check DraftKings to see if your NFL Pro Bowl parlay picks are in. Let me check. Because you're quitting.
Let me check. You're quitting football.
Let me see what you have for the Patriots first round pick. Let me see how your future is on Vrabel.
But this speaks to a larger problem. To borrow a phrase from, this is the launching point to what I'm getting at. And to borrow a phrase from Darren Gann, our friend from Panthers.com, he used to say, Cam Newton made people stupid. We have now graduated to Patrick Mahomes makes people stupid. Now, it's one thing for Dave Portnoy to do it because Dave Portnoy is in the business of getting the people going. I know what he's doing there. You saw the engagement on Facebook. You're seeing it. I mean, I don't even follow him on Facebook, and that shit was fed to me by the algorithm. Fine, because the algorithm is based solely on getting you pissed off. And here's Dave Portnoy mad about what happened with the Chiefs in the spot. But then we have Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter is not a guy who offers opinion a lot. Adam Schefter is an insider guy.
You already know how I feel about him.
I understand how you feel about Adam Schefter, but my point remains.
Probably the same way you feel about him.
Yeah, probably. So Schefter's whole business is just to spit you information. He is not known for opinion. He does not give opinion.
Right.
And anytime you try to give him an opinion, I know this from experience, anytime you try to ask him opinion, he defers. He starts talking about something else, right? So he puts this out a couple of days ago. I know. He puts this out a couple of days ago. For all those complaining that Patrick Mahomes gets too many calls, relief could soon be on the way. NFL Replay Assist is expected to expand this offseason into plays that could include the quarterback slide, league sources told ESPN. Now, he's getting hammered for the framing of this as though Patrick Mahomes is the reason why, ... That's not the reason why. But Adam, I guess he got social media brain rot about, I know how to get the engagement going. Let me frame this as though it's some sort of Patrick Mahomes thing. He then doubles down. Penalties during Chiefs' 8-game win streak in playoffs via Paul Hembo. He's the big stat guy over at ESPN. Roughing the passer, Chiefs 0, opponents 6. Unnecessary roughness, Chiefs 1, opponents 4. And it's like, wait a minute. Are you saying that with Sky Judge help on this, that these calls would go away? Is that what you're saying? Are you now feeding into the narrative that the Chiefs somehow, some way are getting the benefit of the doubt? That there's some sort of conspiracy to make sure that they get the benefit of the calls? I mean, that's what you're feeding here, which is pretty surprising for an info guy who doesn't let opinions know. Now, I know he's going to frame it. Oh, well, I'm just stating facts. No, dude. I see how you're framing it. So again, we have now graduated to Patrick Mahomes makes people stupid. It's pretty insane to watch. As does the tush push, Joe.
Which version?
So we didn't spend a lot of time talking about what happened between the Eagles and the Commanders and the, 3 offsides in a row, 4 out of 5, right? And Frankie Louvu just going, F it. What was it? What was the Leroy Jenkins? Let's just go, right? So the counter to this has been, well, the Eagles do the hard count, and that's unfair too. Except that it's not, because the hard count has a play clock that eventually gets the team that's using the hard count to get away from it. And teams are usually pretty good about being able to identify the hard count and not bite on it so many times. What the Commanders, I don't know why this was something that people were trying to put on the Eagles in the tush push, which we'll get to in a second. What the Commanders were doing were intentionally, in a way, icing the Eagles and trying to prevent them from doing the tush push that they knew they couldn't stop. And when you know you can't stop something and you're intentionally drawing penalties to prevent this from happening, that's when they went into the rule books and warned them. That's why that happened, because everybody understood, and I understood, what the Commanders were trying to do. But this has been flipped to, no, this is just how bad the tush push is, and now they have to get rid of it, which gets to a key question, Joe. How many teams are doing the tush push?
The way that the Eagles do?
Yeah.
1.5, I'll say. Because the Bills try.
And you just said the key word there. They try. Keyword try. How successful are the Bills at the tush push with Josh freaking Allen?
Not as successful as Philly because they don't do it the right way. They don't put the two guys behind them and push.
So if the tush push was some sort of Michael Vick Madden level cheat code, like that one game and that one play in Madden that you can always break off 10 yards. We all know that play of every iteration of Madden that's ever existed, going all the way back to Madden, original John Madden football. Shout out to Madden 93 on the Genesis. That was my key game. The point is, why are we going to go out and change rules just because one team is better at doing this than everybody else? That's dumb.
I'm not a fan of the tush push, but I'm not a fan of the football was changed. 10, 15 years ago now. Used to be you were not allowed to aid a runner or a ball carrier.
Yeah.
That used to be a penalty. They relaxed that rule, eliminated that rule. And since then, we've gotten offensive linemen flying down the field and hammering people. I don't like it. It's not football. I don't like it. This play is not football. I do not like it. So I can't give you like a impassioned defense of what Philly's doing.
It's not so much
care for it.
It's not so much an impassioned defense as it is they are really good at executing this play. If you don't like it, find a different way to stop it, or just kind of prevent them from being in that situation in the first place. And the tush push is not the reason why the Commanders lost that game.
No.
They just got spanked by the Eagles because Saquon Barkley is that dude. So anyway, the tush push conversation kind of cracks me up because we're really having this big existential crisis over one team with one specific play that'll eventually go away when Jalen Hurts is no longer the quarterback. Because if it was that simple, Josh Allen and the Bills would be able to do it, and they can't.
Well, to your point from yesterday about the Bills, who'd you rather be, the Bills or the Giants? It was the existential question you closed yesterday's conversation.
Oh, because of Saquon Barkley
right?
And what happened. He's in the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff.
I think one thing that people are losing in this jump from Saquon to the rival Eagles, the Eagles have the best offensive line in all of football.
Right.
All of football.
Right.
So if the Giants had chosen to re-sign Saquon Barkley, he still would be a perfectly acceptable running back.
But not that.
But not with, when you combine it with the best offensive line in all of football, you get the results that you're seeing. And I think people are shortchanging the Eagles' offensive line, and part of it is because Kelsey retired.
Right. That's why they thought it was going to fall apart.
Oh my gosh. And I was in this boat. Like, oh man, they're going to be in trouble because this guy's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. It's hard to replace Hall of Fame players. They have the best offensive line in all of football. So they made a smart move in going to get Barkley. I don't necessarily disagree with the Giants saying, okay, we're going to move on from Barkley. The way that it played out, obviously, has been punishment for them.
All right. And we will end the lightning round with a little game for Joe Giglio. Can you name the new coach of this NFL team?
Whew.
Followed by, have you heard of them? So, New England Patriots, who they hired?
No internet.
No internet.
Mike Vrabel, yes, I've heard of him. He was always destined to be the guy to follow the guy. He just didn't want to be that guy.
Good hire?
TBD. I think he is the true Belichick heir. He is the Darth Vader to the Emperor, or so whatever the line was supposed to be there.
So he's the true coach in waiting at UNC. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, like he was the true heir. So I think for them it's going to be a good hire, but ultimately, guess what? You have to figure out the quarterback situation.
All right, Chicago Bears.
The Bears hired Ben Johnson.
That's right. The coveted offensive coordinator from the Detroit Lions. This one is interesting in that the way the Lions season ended, and also the Ben Johnson press conference, where he was a little too like, oh yeah, Green Bay, we're going to stick it to them, all that kind of stuff, right? There has almost been a souring of the Ben Johnson thing.
So I'm going to say this to be consistent.
Okay.
I think there's a certain way that you coach when you know the elements are not part of your game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So Detroit had the number one offense every which way you want to dial it up. They had running game, passing game, scoring, you name it. They did it better than anybody else. they also played 15 of their 18 regular season games inside.
Mm.
And I think it is different coaching outside than it is game planning for games inside like that. So I think some of this loop-de-loop and some of this other shit that he loves to run, I don't think it flies on a frozen turf when the wind is whipping. I'm just, you know what I'm saying? I do think he will be good for Caleb Williams. I do think he will be good for however they remold their running back room. But ultimately, their offensive line needs to be fixed. And I would assume they will use their picks and their offseason capital to fix their offensive line and help Caleb Williams become the best possible quarterback.
So that's the thing. I almost feel like this is a non-starter conversation. It doesn't really matter who the coach is. If you're a poorly run organization, and the Bears have been a consistently poorly run operation, I'll be really curious to see how this plays out. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders hired.
The Raiders hired the guy that I was flabbergasted that Tom Brady chose an old guy. It was Pete Smack That Gum Carroll, my guy.
Yeah, the thing about this, it doesn't really matter who my take on this, it doesn't matter who the Raiders hired. It really is Tom Brady's fingerprints on everything that's happening in the Raiders. And I had seen a news story, I think it was from Jason La Canfora over at Washington Post, about how Tom Brady is finally picking up the pieces of where John Gruden was within the organization.
Sure.
It's like, okay.
The latest rumor there is that our guy Russ gets reunited with Pete Carroll from their Seattle days.
I had seen that.
They draft a quarterback. They bridge to that quarterback by bringing in Mr. Positivity to go with Mr. Positivity. I would love to be in a room with Tom Brady and Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, like when they're breaking down like some sort of failed film session and just being like, man, we were right there. This was, guys, like, we're so close. Like, I would love to be there for Tom Brady, who's not Belichick, obviously.
No.
But has a lot of that in him.
Yeah.
You know, it has to, for him to just be like, holy shit, you two lollipop licking, sunshine, rainbow wearing, what in the world are you two talking about?
The Jets.
The Jets hired Aaron Glenn from Detroit, who did not have a good defense. But they were missing like 8 of their starters from opening day. So,
but hey, man, it's a Jets legend coming on home.
I did enjoy his press conference and his talk. So I like that. They're all trying to be Campbell. There's no kneecaps biting, but they're trying.
And the only thing with the Jets, now that they have a coach, and he's been asked about Aaron Rodgers, and he's just kind of everybody's deferring on Aaron Rodgers, and I have a theory as to why. Like, the Jets were asked, well, what's up with Aaron Rodgers? Like, well, we're going to defer to the coaching staff on what their vision is and everything else. With Aaron Glenn, it's like, it's, again, real nebulous stuff. I think they're just waiting to see if Aaron Rodgers retires. I think that's as simple as that. See if Aaron Rodgers goes on his ayahuasca head trip, goes in the darkness cave or whatever, and realizes, you know what I want to be? I want to be a podcaster. And they're hoping and wishing and praying he's a podcaster, because it doesn't really matter who the coach is with the Jets. If you have Aaron Rodgers in the building, well, then it's going to be about Aaron Rodgers.
This will be a clean break for the Jets.
It has to be a clean
Aaron
break.
Rodgers will not be their quarterback.
Jacksonville Jaguars hired?
Jaguars hired a guy from Tampa Bay who initially said he wasn't going to go, and then somehow did a 24-hour turnaround and said, wait, no, I'll do it. Liam Cohen. And now, Liam Cohen makes my eyebrows raise just slightly because the Panthers hired Dave Canales, who I did like, and I do think he has, speaking of positivity, I do think he has potential. But who's now getting credit for Baker Mayfield? Is it Liam Cohen or Dave Canales? I'm confused. There seems to be a lot of people taking credit for the reclamation project that is Baker Mayfield.
This is true. It's just like what happens when, remember, speaking of Russell Wilson, and remember when Russ was winning a Super Bowl and he looked like he was the next Hall of Fame trajectory and Russ might still be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done. And there were all the people who were coming out. It's like, well, we had him on the big board. He was our next guy. Yeah. So we saw what was going on there. I'm like, okay, well then why didn't you take him? Exactly. So I see what's happening with the Baker Mayfield reclamation project. There's 2 more teams that were looking for coaches. One of them got filled on an interesting Friday night news dump, Joe. Do you know which team that was?
Well, the Dallas Cowboys, obviously don't feel very strongly about their ability to get Shedeur Sanders. Otherwise, I do believe Deion Sanders would be their coach.
Jerry Jones said recently that the conversations with Deion Sanders were just conversations, just two cowboys talking shop, baby.
How do we fix it? Help us out.
Right, that sort of thing. In the same way that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, two dudes who won a bunch of Super Bowls together, we're just chopping it up, just having a conversation. Nothing to see here.
I think you should really hire the guy who made the worst call in Super Bowl history.
That's who you
and
should
gave
hire.
us one of those rings. That's what I think you should do.
So the Saints and the boys were the last ones on the board.
How did that conversation go? For real? For real, man.
I don't know. But the Saints and the boys were the last ones on the board. Now the Saints are the last team remaining. We don't know who the coach is going to be. So yes, the Dallas Cowboys hired Brian Schottenheimer. That was that was a classic. He's still in the league moment for me.
Has never been a head coach.
Yeah.
Obviously, his dad Marty had tremendous regular season success in Cleveland and Kansas City.
Yes,
but famously struggled in the playoffs, and also San Diego.
San Diego.
I mean,
San Diego is the biggest one.
He was the coach of those Browns teams that both.
I know.
Come on. So, this was a classic. Oh wait, Jerry Jones is hiring someone that he can absolutely control and have under his thumb, and no one will talk about, so he can still be the one that everyone talks about. Oh, I'm shocked.
Sounds about right. So, Cowboys fans, I'm not being an asshole here. I legitimately feel bad for Cowboys fans who still ride for this stuff, because as long as Jerry Jones is the owner, we're going to get things like that.
The hilarity was Stephen Jones, his press conference, where he said, this 30-year championship drought. Sir, that's not how quotes work.
No. No.
You legitimately have not won the Super Bowl since the appropriately titled Super Bowl XXX.
Right.
That's the last time. And we're on Super Bowl 59. So it's not a quote unquote drought.
No.
It's a legitimate, no air quotes, drought.
It's drought. It's drought. You're due. You're due. That's what
nobody's embellishing here, sir.
You're due, though. You're due. Giglio mentioned Whitaker and Hamer can help you out on all sorts of legal needs. Check them out. wh.lawyer, attorneys, and counselors at law.
I'm gonna get patent on that Syracuse comp, by the way.
That's the title of today's show.
I'm so proud of that.
Big thanks to when you get that copyright and you start cashing it in, you can buy a new house, Joe.
Yeah, or a summer, maybe like down at the beach.
Ooh,
because I don't want to leave Garner, but I do need something else, right?
Would you do beach or mountain home?
Beach.
See, I go back and forth on it. I might do mountain home, honestly. But whatever you're looking for, Hometown Realty can help you out.
I was going to say either direction. Our friends at myhtr.com can take care of you. Buy, sell with confidence.
The Super Bowl's right around the corner. You're probably going to a party and you're tasked with bringing something. Let me make it easy for you. Just go to the butcher's market. Or maybe you're hosting it. Have them cater it. Butcher's Market can help you out. So check out thebutchersmarkets.com.
They have more than hot dogs.
They do.
But they are spectacular.
Even though that's all Giglio eats. But they do have more than hot dogs. This is where the coffee is really needed and needs to kick in, because I did not play the appropriate let's get out of here with some Hey Joe questions.
Hello, Seattle.
Do you just want to do it, or you want me to play it?
Hey, baby, I hear the podcast calling. It's Wolfpack and Demon Deek.
All right.
Maybe I seem a bit confused, but baby, I got you picked.
Let's look at the YouTube comment section, shall we?
Do we have to?
Yeah, why not? From Seth, different take on Duke. Not every game is going to be a blowout. You have to win when you don't have your best stuff. Last night, they didn't have their best stuff and still won by 10. Sorry, Ovies. They didn't blow them out by 243. In years past, Duke teams have lost this game. I applaud them for winning last night. Hey, look, I love the pat on the head treatment that the Duke Blue Devils are getting in what is supposed to be an absolute championship type year with Cooper freaking Flagg. Salute to y'all. From Neil, where but here can you get two middle-aged men giggle like children over a player getting sick and a student having a medical emergency? I am used to hearing grown men think there is something cool about being able to use vulgarities, but it is starting to wear thin. Grow up, guys. Two things about the vulgarities. Sometimes you slip into, you just talk like you normally talk. Right?
Okay.
No, I'm being serious here. I'm not
sure.
I'm not being facetious. I curse a lot in everyday conversation. You know this about me.
Yeah.
I will curse a lot.
You don't tell me.
And you do curse a lot too. And while we do try to keep it professional on the podcast, the beauty of the podcast is that sometimes we do slip into normal conversation voice, if you will, right? We're still trying to be professional, but sometimes we do. And if the cursing bothers you, hey man, I'm sorry. Don't know what to say about it, but this is how humans talk. It is what it is. As far as the things going on with Malwatch getting sick and the student, look, you go watch the replay. Everybody was concerned. I was even like saying to the staff, like, hey, let's go, like even motioning, right? But and at that time, everybody's good. And at that point, hey man, you might want to make some jokes about the Duke team managers bringing 8,000 towels to the floor. I think that's fair game. I think we can't laugh about it. I mean, what are we doing here, right? From Brian, NC State shot lights out. Duke won by double digits. State didn't shoot a lot of free throws because they were hitting jumpers, Joe. This is all in relation to the soft whistle thing. NC State shot threes all day. Let's see, from JBM. When you start talking about the refs, you can't be trusted to be legit on your take of the game. State shot jump shots. Duke drove the ball constantly. Which one of those scenarios draws more fouls? Obviously, NC State's game plan was to take Duke physical, to play Duke physical, to try to disrupt the better talent, which leads to fouls. Just make this an NC State podcast already. From Lance, if Duke was in the SEC this year, it'd be about third in the standings right now. I mean, look, man, I saw that Auburn game up close, but it was at Cameron, so it is what it is. From Brian, I think Giglio is right. Duke loses this game in the tourney. They are not a championship team yet. That's the key. From Jake, y'all raised the "is Duke a monster" narrative in the past week since Malik Brown got injured. Malik is one of the best defenders in the country who limited Johnny Broome to and effectively won us that game. We have not looked like a monster, but we aren't at full strength. Let's see how this plays out. I'll just go back to what I said about Malik Brown. This is in no way, shape, or form taking away from his defensive abilities. He is a great defender, but that's not why Duke was in the position they were in last night. It's not about the defense to me. It wasn't about the defense necessarily against Wake. They're spotty when it comes to scoring at this point in time. It just could be a thing that they're going through right now. We'll see how it plays out. But honestly, the thing that keeps Duke from truly achieving some real championship stuff is consistency. Straight up. From Chung Yeezy, he was feeling it last night. He was behind the state bench over at Cameron. Always 8 on 5
right
in
behind.
Cameron. Always 8 on 5.
Great seats for Chung.
Well, I said this last night when I was walking. I saw State fans, and I thought to myself, like, you either got a deep discount,
glutton,
free tickets,
glutton,
or you're just a true sicko. And in the case of Chung, he is a true sicko, just like Steve is a true sicko. From a teddy bear on YouTube, just take it as Duke took the absolute best shot of State, played poorly by and large, and couldn't hit the ocean from the beach from 3, and still won a trap game. Would like them to shoot better. Yeah, that's all we're saying, guys. Just like to shoot better. From Owen, do y'all even watch basketball? Don't come on a podcast if you have zero basketball knowledge. A light whistle. If you actually watch the game, they were grabbing jerseys every possession. None were called. Get out of here with that. And from our guy Ken, we'll close on this. Dontrez had a great game. He have his shoes marked up. Tar Heels.
For life.
For life. That's going to wrap it up. We will see y'all tomorrow.